This is believed to be the old homestead, which was where they lived prior to moving to Tidioute. For it's a farm in Tidioute where most everybody has their fondest recollection. Here's a sketch done by Art Swanson in 1933. The star of the show, now is Gust Peterson. In the southeast part of Sweden is Kilmarland, and that's where Nels was born.
Gus came to America in 1883. He was 24. He was married to Anna Louisa Anderson and had 10 children, and she died in 1908. Charles Anderson, or Charles Peterson, Charlie Pete we called him, was married to her sister, Joanna Charlotte Anderson, and they had 3 children. Those 3 children I always called Aunt and Uncle. They grew up alongside of us over on the Sweet Road because Uncle Oscar worked on the Ramage lease, another large oil holding company. In 1914, Gus was married to Marie Olson, and they came to Triumph in 1918. Gus died in 38 and Marie died in 57. 1918 was 3 years after I was born, but about 4 or 5 years of age, we started the American Sunday School Union in this building here. And Mrs. Gust Peterson was our superintendent until the time that they left over here. No, not to the time they left because she broke her leg, but until the time I had left the hill here in 1938 to get married and move to town. But she was the Sunday school superintendent for many, many years. The farm was sold to Willard Archer, and I have the deed, a copy of the deed over there. The farm was sold to Willard Archer. The barn burned, as near as I can recollect, between 1935 and 1936. They remembered about Mrs. G.M. was her constantly being at a sewing machine. And she sewed for a lot of other people. Like she didn't sew for my mother because my mother had worked for a dressmaker. She had a beautiful green carpet in her living room. Do you remember that, Lyle? She had a light green carpet. My grandmother wove it for her on her 36-inch loom, and the center of it was a light green, and the dark around the outside was a dark green. I was talking to a man out here, and I told him what we were going to do this afternoon. He says, "Oh, Lucdlow Gust." So he called him that. But anyway, I asked Lena what she could remember, and without hesitation she said, "Oh, Mrs. G.N.'s big chocolate cake." That was the first thing she remembered. How nice of you to remember. And then she said she remembered their kindnesses to them. They were the only children on the whole route. She also mentioned the calico ponies that G.N. Peterson had, and that they were allowed to ride them. But this one night we were over there, and old Mr. Peterson, our dog walked across the living room floor. My dad kiddingly said to him, "Donald, how come you never married?" And Donald, in the same vein, said, "Because I'm like the Lord Jesus, I love them all." Stopped in mid-step, and all she said was "Donald." And he was a grown man. I was just a little kid. He was a grown man. But that's the first time I ever saw a man stop and blush and apologize. He said, "I'm sorry, Mom." Then, I remember another time we were visiting, and old G.N. said to my dad, "Gus, never make fun of a deaf man." And my dad told me that on the way coming home, or maybe we even heard him because you could hear G.N. a city block away when he talked. Another time, Mr. Peterson was over at our place, and he was mowing on the lease over there. And the lease didn't have horses, they had tractors. And that's what I learned to drive on, Fords and tractors. But anyway, Mr. Peterson was mowing, and the horses came to a stop. And in his loud voice, he kept yelling, "Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up." And the horses never moved. So he got down off of the mowing machine and walked over to the head of the horses, and he could see what the trouble was. And then he stood there, and his loud voice said, "Oh, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me." He had come to a rod line.
Please give Alvin a standing ovation.
Is Art and Lyle?
Cabs and they start. And Ralph and I would ride them cabs. You know, Grandpa, if he'd have seen us, he'd knocked our heads off. We rode them cabs and they bucked and they threw us off. Now there was how many acres here?
Oh yeah.
About 27.
When you, and that's was the original farm. It's 27 acres, right?
Right around there, between 22 and 27.
Farm. Come on. 27 acres.
This is my first
Through them woods. And there's only 27 acres here. That's all he had. He made a living on it. I mean, a living, a bare living, because he worked the road too. You know, he hauled gravel and all that stuff. You know, when he was going, crushed stones, did all that stuff to get by. Yeah, in fact, he got hurt on the road one time. And we got an emergency call to come down here and see him. We came down and we didn't know what had happened. We go up to the house. You know, my dad pulls in here. Oh, where's Dad? You know, Mom Mary's down the farm. Here we thought, you know, he'd had an accident and it was hurt. Now the house lawn.
What's the tree that you're talking about?
Yeah, the tree is no longer here.
But we're going to get a picture on the lawn where you used the guy.
Hey Jeff, can you lay out where that tree was?
Yeah, red oak.
A red oak.
And it came up all about 10 feet when the branches out, and it had a big split right down through the middle. And I always thought it was going to blow over on the house.
So it was dangerous. You had to get rid
But
of
I finally saw it out of there. That's where that was. There's about 4 or 5 apple trees up through the orchard.
Well, you have quite a lawn to mow.
How that was
I
right in here?
remember
Literally just walked right into it.
you know, the rain barrel coming down
Yes,
the
yeah,
side.
that was right here because the
Stuff
root
like
cellar was
that.
down here. He had a root cellar here, and then the rain barrel was right here. But see, there's nothing. This is all different now.
But it was right on the lawn here.
Not as it was in the outhouse.
But you still got the,
Gather.
it never gets real hot. So can you get in and out of this road and everything?
Yeah, the road we can. I can't really make it up that driveway, but I can.
Can't we? No.
Okay, we got, then I want everybody to,
Yeah.
I give you one, yeah.